Thank you for your time and for being with us tonight. David Garrett in RMF Classic Studio.
Marta, pleasure being.
Hi. We are meeting because of your new album, Millenium Symphony.
Yes.
You know, your albums always connect the classical music with this crossover music. Can you tell me what was the central theme or inspiration behind your new album?
Well, let me just go a little bit back because in the end, yes, this one is a crossover album. We did tour with a core classical record, which was called Iconic over the last 2 years. Which was, a substantial classical album done with Deutsche Grammophon. And this one, again, is definitely a so-called crossover record. And for me, it's very important to keep the balance, though, between having a core classical album and then doing, again, a crossover project. Probably the next album will be, again, then classical. Because for me, my foundation, my integrity lies within the classical music world, but I do like to have vacations here and then. And Millenium Symphony is definitely a vacation from classical music a little bit. And the idea behind the project was to find 20, 25 songs from the last 20, 25 years, which have the substance, which have great harmonic progressions, which have, a certain kind of structure, which works for the instrument, which works for symphonic orchestra. And probably the most of the time I spend in research and listening to a lot of music from the last, early 2000s. And then, of course, trying out on the violin and demoing. And I'm pretty happy with the final result of the 25 pieces.
It must have been a really big challenge to choose 25 songs for this album.
Yes and no. I think it's, as I said, the research probably takes the most time. I mean, there are so many different steps when it comes to, finding a piece, first of all, which you think has the potential. Normally, when I listen to music, the first thing I have in mind when it comes to like a crossover record is the first thing, can I hear the arrangement in an orchestra? Can I hear the brass sections where the electric guitars are? Can I hear the woodwinds in the backing vocals? That's something I listen to very carefully. And if a piece is great, I hear these kind of elements already in. That's a good thing. Then the second thing is the melody or something in the piece, even if it's in the guitar or on the bass. Is there so much good material to take over on the instruments, which, I don't want to be bored on stage. I don't want to be bored recording. So I have to find, little things. For instance, may I?
Sure. I would like to hear.
If you talk, for instance, it's the second piece we're playing. We're starting the tour, by the way, with the big one, which is called Seven Nation Army. But the one I want to talk about right now is Naughty Girl by Beyoncé. So obviously, in the beginning, she's not doing much. Beyoncé is not singing that much, but the groove is very nice. It's that would be too simple, for what I can do. So I do an octave. Now the vocal comes in. Now again the orchestration with the Arabian touch. That's in the orchestration. Then the vocal I take over. So I take different elements from the original and use them on the instrument. So it's not just like, I'm just playing the vocal from Beyoncé. So I look for different bits and pieces, yet still make the piece recognizable. But I'm a violinist. I cannot just play the vocal. That would be too simple.
Do you remember which song was your first choice?
No. They came literally, they went in, went out into my brain. It was, I think I had a list of probably around 150 pieces in the beginning. And that was the first list. And some of them I scratched out, some of them it's the little things, for instance, Maroon 5, with Move Like Jagger, which basically the hook is like that whistle. So what do we do with the violin when you whistle? You do like a harmonic. So in the end, I try to use all the technical stuff which I know from classical music, harmonies, if you play chaconne. For instance, now you do Seven Nation Army. You don't do just the melody, you do double stops. So I take what I can do out of the classical music world and I intentionally put myself in a situation to, make the piece as violinistically yet recognizable.
Mm-hmm. Is it easier sometimes to say something through violin than through words?
I'm good with words. And I think you have to be good with words, especially when you do something which is controversial. You need to be able to first of all know for yourself why you do it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And so you first have a conversation with yourself. Why is this something I want to do? And if you can give yourself good answers, you're going to be good in interviews.
Mm-hmm. When you were recording your new album, do you prefer to record or act spontaneously, or do you have everything prepared, stick to the established plan?
There's a certain plan around me. You have to have a plan, a general idea where an arrangement goes. Mm-hmm. You have to have a sound idea. When it comes to the violin part, I like to improvise a lot during demos, meaning I basically just, play how I feel, listen back, and then, it wasn't good, let's do it again. So demoing is more the process of improvisation, getting to a good result. Once I have a good result, I practice the good result, and then I play it properly in doing the recording session.
Mm-hmm. Do you have your, favorite moment during this recording? I mean, first
recording is pretty stressful actually, because you have a certain time where you need to get things done properly and beautifully and with a good intent. Beautiful is never a problem, but with the right vibe, with the right atmosphere. And obviously, when there's time restrictions, everybody has a certain amount of time scheduled in the studio, and you want to be very prepared. So it's a lot of concentration. Same when you record a classical album, you're not going to play something 3-4 times. If you can do it in 2, it's nicer for everybody around because you're wasting everybody else's time. So you better be prepared on the day when you come to the studio and do your takes, 2-3 max, and that's where you have to nail it and have to have the right intent, the right character. And also with such a record, there's so many different feels, so many different emotions in each piece. You have to kind of be quick in, this one is done, okay, let's switch over to the next piece, which is more melancholic. And obviously this is something you learn in classical music at a very young age, but also here you got to work with the whole emotional palette very quickly.
Mm-hmm. As we could hear, you choose Maroon 5 song, you choose Lady Gaga's song. What else we are able to hear?
There's a lot of things, a lot of unexpected things. I assume we did a wonderful version, which I do all by myself with a looping station of Shape of You from Ed Sheeran. There's another beautiful tune by Ed Sheeran, which is not that well known, but it's such a beautiful melody. And when I heard it, it's written quite in a simple way in the original version. It's a duet he also did, I think, at some point with Taylor Swift. And it's very, as I said, very minimalistic, very simple in the original. And I had this feel of, let's put this into like a Rachmaninoff setting when it comes to the orchestration. I don't know if Joker and the Queen, if you know that one. It's a beautiful melody. And it kind of like, moves on. This piece gets bigger and bigger. It's almost like a Disney kind of tune. So, and then it has this beautiful moment where I have the piano take over the melody, and then I soar over that. Have the whole brass section do the theme, and if you have time, play it in the show.
Can you tell us about your concerts? Is it a really big music show?
Oh yes, it is. It is, especially since I was playing in a very small, intimate chamber music setting over the last 2 years. I was also playing the classical shows here in Poland. The show was called Iconic, but it was basically a tribute to the great golden era violinists. So I was a lot of like the encore pieces. Like Camille Saint-Saëns and Paganini and stuff like this. And since this was more of a chamber music setting, we're doing again the big Vegas kind of production. So it's going to be a lot of entertainment. It's going to be, as always, when you come to see me, fun. It's going to be light. It is going to be interesting, and you will take something home to think about and have a great time for the two hours. We're playing, by the way, on May 11th in Krakow and May 12th in Łódź.
Yes.
In Łódź. And I'm excited. New program, and I hope people show up and enjoy music together with us.
I must ask you about film music.
Oh,
because I know you are a big fan, and you were maybe if I can say like that, you were dreamed about composing film music?
Well, the thing is, I studied composition at Juilliard, so that was my second major. I was doing violin with Itzhak Perlman at Juilliard, but I also did composition studies. And for me, as a violinist, that's one part of my profession, but probably the bigger time aspect is the arranging and writing. Last year I premiered a piano concerto which I wrote, classical piano concerto. All the pieces you listen on Millenium Symphony, on older records, iconic classical ones. I also, you're talking about the movie Paganini, which I did a few years ago back, and I like writing. I like finding the right surroundings, sound surroundings for my violin. And I think that makes me very different to any other violinist who goes outside of the classical music world, because I did kind of spend a lot of time cultivating writing skills, arranging skills, improving my skills, trying out things which don't work, of course, also, and then figuring out how does it actually work properly. So I've been doing this since 25 years, writing, arranging, and
hard work,
It is, but it also makes me recognizable beyond the violin, and that's I think the most biggest compliment and the biggest important thing you can have as an artist. Not only have your own unique sound on the violin, but be able to create the surroundings for your uniqueness, also with a unique approach. And that was something which was super important to me, because I don't like being in a situation where other people decide how to write for me, because then I really, if I don't know how I want it, maybe I know how I want it to sound, but other people do that for me, and it will never be really me. You know what I mean? So I rather take the responsibility and create the whole thing.
All right.
Then it's 100% my identity.
Okay. let's back to the film music. Do you have your favorite soundtrack?
Favorite soundtrack? I mean, I'm a big fan of. I was just listening a couple of days ago to the version from Hans Zimmer for Dunkirk, and he did almost like Philip Glass kind of like minimalism with the Nimrod from Edward Elgar's Enigma variation. And I thought he did extremely well. So it was, very particular, very, but very emotional, even if you don't have the visuals of the movie. So that was one which I just listened a couple of days ago too.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer is one of the biggest composer of the film.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously I'm a big fan of Morricone and even, of course, John Williams. I mean, there are a lot of also old school Stokowski. I was listening to a lot of Stokowski music. Great arranger. Of course, you can always look back and say, oh, that was a little bit over the top, romanticized. But that was the times they were living in. And if you listen to the film music he's arranged and created, really, really good. Really good.
I have a friend who has got Stradivarius violin, and he's always telling me...
Well, does he really have a real Stradivarius?
Yes, it is. But
what's the name of it?
Polonia.
Polonia.
Stradivarius Polonia.
Which year?
I don't remember, but it's really Stradivarius. It is.
There are a lot of people who contact me and say, "Oh, I have Stradivari in my attic," and then I see the pictures and I'm like, "Yeah, really."
I'm sure it is real, but he's telling me a lot of horrible stories about traveling with this violin. Do you have any this kind of strange? No, at the airport.
I pay good amount of money to have it very well insured. And at that point, if somebody, has, I don't know, Glock 9mm and I'm at gunpoint, I will gladly hand him my Stradivari. First of all, because I'm not going to die for the instrument. Second of all, it's very well insured. And I'm pretty sure they will understand that I had to give up the Strat for that moment. And the third and biggest aspect is he's never going to be able to sell that fiddle. It's like buying the Mona Lisa, stealing the Mona Lisa. Who's going to buy that? Maybe some, I don't know, oligarch basically saying, oh, I'm going to put that in my basement, and he's not going to pay full amount. So basically, a Stradivari is like pretty much all in so many books, and everybody knows. If you go to a violin dealer and try to sell, they know it's the Messiah Strat or whatever. I have the Bush Stradivari. They're so well categorized. So in the end, it's the worst idea to steal art.
All right.
If you can't sell it, there's probably like a really, really small black market, like really, really small, and you will get really little money for it.
So you are not afraid of traveling with... Okay.
No, if I would be traveling with cash money or a gold coin, I would be like paranoid. But with a Strat, nah.
All right. Tomorrow we have a really special day.
Women's Day. Yeah.
And I would like to ask if you can dedicate some of your songs from new album to the listeners, women's listeners of RMF Classic. Which one do you choose?
Which one? From the new album, or can I just do something?
No, let's stick to the new album.
It's a beautiful piece by Anton Dvorak. That's dedicated. I can't play with the headphones. Let me do this again. I hate playing with headphones, but
Why?
This is because you can't hear as quickly the mistakes.
Okay.
And, there's no way you're going to play a glissandi without correcting it quickly.
All
So,
right.
the more you have a headphone on, the difficult it gets. But this is for the World Women's Day. know how long I'm supposed to play. You stop me.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much.
You're
in
welcome.
the name of all women, it was a music postcard from David Garrett.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.